right. So, what up, everyone? This is Mr. T coming at you live from NYC. Welcome back to Convos, our podcast over here at TimTalks, and welcome back to our next episode. So, hey guys, I just actually got a PM from a private user. I don't know who it is, but they want to ask me where I came from. So here's the deal. I know I mentioned that we're always live at NYC, and that's true. But the deal is that some people notice the accent and notice like doesn't sound completely American, even though everyone knows like the New York accent or whatever. I don't know. I don't even know how that sounds, but basically some people were asking like where did I come from? And if you guys had read my blogs over there at Tim Talks, I mentioned that I came from this island called Saipan. But the moment I mentioned that, people always think it's either like Guam or like Hawaii or something like that. But I totally get it because not many people are really um not many people get what Saipan is or where it is. I just always have to mention Guam because it's like the next door neighbor. But I invited someone over here who I feel can give you a little bit more background because he's actually over there in Saipan right now. So I invited a guest over here. His name is Jason. Say hello, my friend.
All right. Hello, or as we say in Saipan, half a day. Half a day means, basically like what's up, how's it going, So half a day to my peeps in New York, and I'm glad. I want to again thank Tim for having me on his podcast. I really hope I get to share a lot about our island with you good folks. So yeah.
That's right. So he's actually over there in Saipan. If you guys don't know who he is, so he was basically not only a friend of mine, but he's also once a co-worker. We were over working together at the college over there. Just an FYI, we only have one because we're an island. But it was still pretty fun to have worked together. And even then, so like we kept in touch. Just an FYI, guys, keep your colleagues in mind if you're ever in college, keep them close to heart because they're going to matter a lot. Because you never know outside of, being colleagues, what are you guys going to do? There's a lot going for you guys later on throughout life. And, your colleagues are just one of the many things that you can take away from when you get into college. But hey, anyway, back to where we're at. So again, Saipan, many of you guys don't know where that is, but I'm going to ask my friend over here to, just explain what Saipan is, or not just what Saipan, where it is in the first place, right?
All right. So for those of you who don't know where Saipan is basically located in the far western Pacific. We're actually closer to, I guess, Asia than America, like the U.S. mainland. So our closest neighbors are usually like Japan, lies to the north of us, and then to the east is like China, Taiwan, as well as the Philippines. So, and to the west of us is like our island neighbors, like the different islands of Oceania. So just a little brief background for those of you who you don't know. Oceania is divided into three subregions. There's Micronesia, which is the island we're from. That's where we're located. There's Polynesia, which I think for the most part people like know what Polynesia is because they're like they are the ones who are like representative of the Pacific Islands. And then there's also Melanesia. So Saipan is just one island in this group of islands called the Mariana Islands, which consists of 15 islands. It's an archipelago. So the Mariana Islands were split between Guam, which is, as Tim mentioned, a lot like more familiar with Guam. So Guam is part of the Mariana Islands, but they have a separate, I guess, political status. And then all the islands north of Guam, which includes Saipan, were called the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. So I guess we are a U.S. territory, but we have a little bit more, I guess, freedom in how we run our affairs. But the people here, we're all U.S. citizens. If you're born in the Commonwealth, or if you're born on Guam, then that automatically makes you an American citizen. So yeah, That's just like a brief overview, But if you guys want to know the more in-depth kind of information, then don't be afraid to hit up my man Tim, and we'll be happy to answer your questions.
Oh my gosh. Here's the thing, guys, because like honestly, even though I lived on Saipan my whole life, literally like 21, 22 years of my life was literally on Saipan. I'll tell you guys right now, there's like a lot of uncharted territory. There's a lot of places over there, a lot of wonders, a lot of scenery. You got to see over there, the people and all that stuff. And even then, I didn't even get to see everything that's all about Saipan, because you're gonna find something that you never would have expected, because Saipan is literally uncharted jungle mixed with urban landscape. So if you guys want to really think about Saipan in a nutshell, think of if you combine a little bit of upstate New York with a little bit of Florida, and there you got Saipan in a nutshell. But hey, guys, if you guys literally look up on Google Earth, you can find it. It's literally in the shape of a giant E. It's pretty obvious, and you can pretty much tell because the other islands, are neighbors. We got like an island called Tinian. If you guys don't know that, check out World War II. If you guys don't know Rhoda, that's fine. Google that. But Saipan is really distinct. Just look for a giant E. Can't miss it. And it's literally there. Literally, if you look at it, it's in a perfect E. But there's just a lot of beautiful places over there. Some that I haven't gotten to see yet, but like I said, if you ever pass by over there in Saipan, like I said, spring's coming up, summer's coming up. Many people are gonna go on vacation. I think they want to see some hot weather. Saipan is a prime destination in the middle of all that. Yeah. And I know we got our wonderful neighbors over there. We got Japan on the north, we got Philippines on the west, and then we got like Indonesia and Australia down south. But right there in the middle of all of that, Saipan's right there. Um, but it's just glad though to have my friend Jason over here, just because the island is changing. A lot of things are changing, physically, politically, all that stuff. I don't want to get too much into politics and all that stuff, but just to let you know that there's a lot happening over there on the island, and it's nice to get a heads up on what's been happening over there. Because like you guys asked, where's my home? And I feel as though that's a special segment that we just gotta have over here. You want to know who Mr. T is, you want to know who the heck is hosting this podcast, but here it is, right? Here's just one of those segments. I'm trying to also gonna mix that. Sometimes it'll be about mental health, sometimes it'll be some life advices, but also just a little bit of myself, because that's how it is. There's a lot of truths out there, and just who I am, and whether I'm reliable and all that stuff. But there's just that going on for me, and I just want to make myself more credible, and make myself out there for all of you, right? But hey, turning back to Jason, so just wanted to ask, what do you feel makes Saipan your home? What do you think?
Well, I think, because of our unique location, right? Like most of our Western neighbors tend to be Asian countries like the Philippines, Japan, right? And then to the east of us, we have more Pacific islands, right? So, us being like a U.S. territory, like for me, the favorite analogy I like to use to describe how Saipan is like we're like the budget version of Hawaii. Actually, like we're like we're a smaller version of Hawaii, because for me being, I guess, like for those who know, I'm actually mixed race. Like Saipan is like a very diverse, how do I say it, population, right? Because of especially immigration to the islands is very prevalent. So a lot of different kinds of people come to Saipan. Majority of the people that come to Saipan tend to come from Asian countries. So, like for example, from the Philippines, right? So myself and Tim over here, we're Filipino,
Mm-hmm.
and well, for me, I'm half Filipino, but still Filipino. Filipinos are like actually the largest Asian immigrant group and the largest ethnic group in the NMI. So there's a lot of us there. We also have like Chinese immigrants, Japanese immigrants, Koreans. We also have some Bangladeshis. We have like some Thais, a few Vietnamese, I think, and also too we have a lot of Pacific Islander people. So, for example, we also have the Chamorro people. So the Chamorros are the indigenous, the native people of the Mariana Islands. There's also I'm half Chamorro, by the way. There's the Carolinians as well. They've been in the Marianas for a long time as well. We also have other Micronesian Pacific Islanders such as Chuukese people, Yapese people, Palauan people. So I guess just to sum it all up, right? Because it's such a multicultural environment, like I feel at home with both cultures. Why? Because I'm in the Marianas. I have exposure to my Pacific Island culture because we live in the Pacific. like a lot of our lifestyles cater to the tropics, but because of such the high presence of Filipinos and other Asians, right, we also are still able to connect with our with our Asians, our Filipino roots, because we have such a big community here. In fact, um, if you remember, Tim, one of the last times we were actually on Saipan, we were at the Philippine Independence Day festival.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
remember that.
yeah. So it's that's what I feel like really. I like it makes home. It feels like home for me. Why? Because I get both cultures in one place. I don't have to I don't have to like fly. I mean, I like to go to the Philippines, obviously, but like my grandparents from both sides live here. I have relatives from both sides that live here as well. So it's and the island is so small. So we can visit each other whenever we want, basically.
Yeah, just to give you guys some demographic for any of you guys, we keep mentioning how it's small or whatever, right? Saipan has population of like 60,000, give or take, and then here we are in the Big Apple with about 8 to 10 million people. So you can kind of see how that contrasts. But yeah, like you said, there's a lot of diversity over there in Saipan. A lot of different kinds of people, which is probably the reason why, like I said, probably influenced my decision to head over here to NYC. Not because of just family, but also because NYC, what you gotta love is that all that diversity is over here in the big city, and it is so surreal. Even though, like, that the people are different here, you're gonna see some you're gonna see some whites, you're gonna see some blacks, you're gonna see some African Americans, Asian Americans, um, even European Americans, all that stuff. And that diversity, it's just so good because we kind of need that in the world. People to like get. That's the thing about the new gen. That's the thing that I love that people are getting in their heads, right about now, is that world's changing. World's starting to get a hint of who we are. What we want. And I feel that Saipan really showcased that. It was my start to seeing what I'm gonna carry over here to the big city. And even I myself as a teacher, seeing all of that going on, like I said, when you're like a child, we don't have that hint of race. We don't have that hint of these groups or whatever, right? You're just there as the same people. And when you grow up, you get that mindset and you keep that. And I feel that's most important. And like Jason mentioned, you don't feel that sense of weirdness or whatever, right? Over there in Saipan, yeah, there's like a majority population that's gonna always dominate there, like in every other country. But who cares? Whatever that, what the heck. So
we always share the load because we're all in this together. One thing too is I don't know if you're gonna mention this later, Tim, but because we're from the islands, right? One of the major, I guess, natural disasters we face is typhoons. And I feel like after like disasters as typhoons, you can really see the community coming together. Like we always try to help each other and whatnot because yes, there are like reservations, especially by the older generation. But as Tim mentioned, right, like the younger generation, we always try to keep an open mind. Because like even though we're from different places, like we were born here, we were raised here, and this is our home. Like even people who are not indigenous to Saipan, when they leave Saipan, they still call Saipan their home. Why? Because they were born there, they were raised there. So it's always it's for me, it's always about keeping it in the hometown, but also keeping an open mind. Be proud of your culture, but don't be afraid to explore other cultures. Don't be afraid to try different things. Because at the end of the day, um, it makes us who we are as people from Saipan or people from New York.
Yeah, guys, just don't straight up reject anyone. It's better to accept people for who they are and where they came from and all that stuff. Like I said, we're in a new world, we're in a new age, we're the new gen. We should probably kind of uphold that. And also, like I said before in the previous episode, like cut the old gen some slack because literally, again, they don't really know as much about the new gen, and we don't know each other always as often, and that's completely fine. If we get into arguments, it's so whatever, right? But when we grow up, it's like it's our life, right? So we get to control that. We get to be who we want to be. Same thing like how I got my passion from Saipan on what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a teacher, even though many people are like, what the f, right? What the heck is going on and all that stuff? Why would you want to do that? Actually, many people had expectations of me to do something higher, but then I said, you want to go higher, start from the bottom and work your way up, because when you work your way toward making new gen, right? When I'm a teacher, that happens, right? And I got that from NMC, the local college over there in Saipan. And yeah, literally, there's just a lot that I've learned from there through all the disasters, all the trials, and all the tribulations, and all that stuff. Saipan taught me that. Um, but hey, back to Jason. They say it's not just about the destination; it's about the journey that you go through, right? Here's the deal.
Yes.
Saipan is a prime destination, and it's becoming more and more. We just actually talked a little bit earlier about how they're renovating the island, and adding
Yeah.
all these wonderful things, right? So
Yeah.
again, if Saipan is your prime destination out there, you guys, if it's a transit or whatever, right? Even if it's just for a few days, even if it's for
Yeah.
a couple months or whatever, right?
Mhm.
I know that there's just gonna be a journey that you're gonna experience over there, but I want to ask my local guide over there, what are some of those prime destinations you feel are worth looking into?
Well, I mean, this one sounds cliche of any tropical destination, but there's the beach. There's about the beaches in Saipan is like it's not so much like I guess the beaches you would find like in Hawaii or in I guess California or even the Caribbean. Beaches here they tend to be I guess smaller, but it's like less people, so you kind of have more liberty to do whatever you want. I mean, don't do whatever you want on the beach. There's guidelines, but like you have more liberty to like go check out different spots. Some in different areas. Some other locations we do have a lot of. As Tim mentioned earlier, the Marianas has a history with the Second World War. So there was a major battle fought here on Saipan during the war because Saipan actually used to be part of the Japanese Empire, and the Americans invaded. There was a huge battle. Look it up if you guys are really interested. It's a pretty interesting history, but there are a lot of, I guess, war relics laying around. We have like tanks, we have, old, I guess, anti-aircraft guns, artillery, those kinds of things, and I know a lot of I guess history enthusiasts really like those kinds of things. So if you are that kind of person, when you come here, you should definitely try going around looking for those things. And the thing is, like a lot of these war relics are actually like in the open, so you don't really have to like I guess go booty stomping in order to find it. Besides war relics, there's also like cultural icons. So we can do another video on this if you want, Jim. Like the culture of Saipan, like it's very diverse because Saipan's been controlled by many different countries. So those countries they kind of brought their own religion, their own culture here. So it's kind of like an interesting mix. We have a lot of churches, historical, Catholic churches, Protestant churches. Why? Because the majority of the population here is actually Christian. Roman Catholic or Protestant. We also have Japanese shrines because, as I mentioned before, Saipan used to be part of the Japanese Empire, so the Japanese brought their religion here, and it's pretty nice. A lot of people like to go there to take their pictures, so there'd be like engagement photos, graduation pics, and we also have like the traditional indigenous Pacific like style houses, like call them laddie houses. There's a lot of them throughout the Marianas, so and I think besides the cultural icons, there's also, again, it sounds very cliche with any tropical nation. There's good diving spots. So if you're like an avid snorkeler or scuba diver, we have a big lagoon, so we have different I guess companies or like guides who will take you, teach you how to use the equipment, and then you can go under the water, look at the coral, whatnot. I think one final thing I'd like to say is the food. The food here is very interesting, because it goes out back to the whole colonization, immigration. So you have different kinds of cuisines here, and what's really nice about the cuisines here, and it ties back into why I feel Saipan, why I like Saipan as a home is because we mix the cuisines. So you get like different dishes from different ethnic groups all mixed into one at a party. Uh, you'll have a party at Saipan and you'll include things such as like lumpia, or you can include like there's like this it's a Chamorro dish, but like it's influenced by Korean. They call it kimchi noodles. We also have like this typical American hot dogs. We have the island style barbecue. So definitely check out the food while you're here. And again, and seafood as well, because again, we're an island, so seafood's a big part of our diet. Sashimi. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of that, but if you do, we have some pretty good sashimi here. What else? What else? There's a lot of things. I mean, just to wrap it up, like it's more about like the cultural spots, the historical spots, the typical beaches, island spots, and the food. And for the most part, people here are very welcoming. They are very understanding of the tourism industry because for a while tourism was, and it still is, the biggest industry in the NMI. So to an extent, most people here, they kind of have a general understanding of how to interact with tourists. And again, going back to what Tim said, right? Saipan is a very small island, so you probably only like maybe like a few days, not even a day, maybe not even like a week, maybe like 2 days to explore the entirety of Saipan, and you should be good.
I'm not saying to ditch the island right away, guys. If it's a prime destination for you guys, there's still a lot. Even more, like I said before, I've been on the island for over 20 years. And even then, I didn't get to see every little nitty bitty gritty detail that's over there on Saipan. But even then, I guarantee you ask any person there on the island, whether they're from there or they're already in the mainland in the US, you're going to ask them that. They're probably not going to say, I know everything about the island. Trust me. There's just
we always, especially with the pandemic, like it's given us a chance to really explore our islands, because I know during the pandemic things like hiking and just jungle, like those kind of like jungle exploration, those kinds of things, like those were really like that really picked up during the pandemic days, because you couldn't go anywhere. So there's always going to be that little piece of Saipan that you never know, or that could be your own secret spot. Like for me, there's some spots I haven't even been to, but that's the beauty of living in Saipan. There's always a new adventure every day.
Exactly. Oh yeah, guys, small little detail, and now sounds a little bit off, but pandemic is going to be officially declared conquered by May, at least controlled by May. So if you guys think, if you guys are past pandemic, if you guys are listening to this, we made it. Honestly. So kudos to us. We actually made it. And like I said, the thing about Saipan when the pandemic all started and all that stuff, was that since we were there in the middle of all of that, but we were also relatively unknown, it gave us time to prepare and all that stuff. And that was also another blessing in disguise, which was really helpful because we got a lot of help from the island, and that's probably what we're using now to help renovate it, rebuild it, and all that stuff over there in Saipan. And that's really helpful. But hey, guys, I just want to thank you, Jason, also for letting us in with your wonderful historical sense of knowledge. And like I said, you added a lot of things over here, and I feel that was very important. Like I said, we needed someone over there who was a representative at that moment in island on the island. So it was really helpful. But let me just give you guys a little bit of my quirks about what you might notice on Saipan that's kind of distinct from other places. It's gonna be some things that you might notice just a little bit. First off, barbecues, they're everywhere. Go to the beach, you got like 10 to 20 families on the same beach on the same day wanting to barbecue. It doesn't matter what day of the week. It does not matter. You're gonna find that. You're gonna find the grill and the smoke. That's definitely what's gonna happen over there. Secondly, parking. You don't got parking meters. Unless you are parking, unless you are in the parking lot, I guarantee you there's no wait time. You don't have to pay for 1 hour, 2 hour parking like over here in the mainland. Literally when you go over there, you can park anywhere. I've seen Toyota Tacomas parked on grass. It does not matter. Seriously, honestly.
Where there's space, but just be also sensible. Don't take up a space for a while. But Tim is right. There's no like set parking limit for the most part. So park wherever there's space, but be sensible.
Yeah, honestly, guys, really, just also be careful. Don't do things like park on the beach. I've seen that. I've seen that. Things don't go well. It does not go well at all. You get enjoy the scenery, but also keep in mind that um, where you're at when you're parking, where you're at, where you're going, and all those things. And don't be afraid to ask a guide if anything. Don't be that person who's just holding onto a map, because believe me, the map can only cover so much, and even then, it's only covering the major tourist areas. Some people want to go
Yeah.
in deep in the in the nice sense. They go in deep into the jungle and all that stuff. They want to go and explore every single bit. And like I said, haven't seen everything over there on the island. But really, it's actually a nice place over. That's why I said I can call Saipan my first home, even though I'm making my new home
Of
over
course.
here in the city. Like I said, totally different, but I love both experiences. For good and for bad, and all those things. Like I said, every home is gonna have their challenges. Every home is gonna have their beauty. And even then, that's why I said I still remember. Hopefully, my memory's not as good, guys. Just to let you guys know. But either way, so
It's
you know, just wanna add one last thing over here, for my friend over here. So, what do you think? We've both been to the mainland, right? We've
yeah.
both been to the mainland. We saw how different, just how different it'll be to go to a different place, and not only
Yeah.
that, a place that's far, right? Thousands
Mm.
of miles, guys. I tracked. So, like I said, 7,000 miles. We're 7,000 miles from Saipan to New York. But you know, just having to go through all of that, right? To be able to travel, especially post pandemic, right, and all that stuff. Um,
Yes.
what do you feel you learned from Saipan that carried you over when you visited over to the mainland?
I think one thing I really took from, I guess, Saipan, during my brief stay in the U.S. mainland, is, you have to always carry that, I guess, that friendly spirit with you wherever you go, because, coming from a small island, right, like, everyone, for the most part, they know each other, or mostly aware of each other, so, from a young age, this is very prevalent in Asian and Pacific communities. We're always taught to respect our elders. We're always taught to be, humble, those kinds of things. And I know, like in the states, especially in California, the climate there is kind of, it's a little bit edgy. So you have to be really careful about how, I guess, you carry yourself. But for me, I was always there. I always remember that, to always be friendly at first glance, and not to judge people right off the bat. I know one thing a lot of people get in the States, especially when it comes to being with, like, their race or whatever, like, when people ask where you're from, is that a lot of people, they sometimes can see that as like a negative thing. Like when someone asks, like, oh, where are you from? They might say, oh man, look at this person, they're so racist. They're gonna say I'm not from here. But for me personally, I take that as I'm not saying that like it's a great thing, but for me, I just see it as an opportunity to really, I guess, educate or showcase my culture and where I'm from. So because just because they ask where you're from doesn't mean it's like in a bad way. It's they're just generally interested. Because I've had people in the States, like this when I was in an elevator, this old Caucasian guy, this old grandpa guy, he's asking like, "Oh, are you from Saipan?" Then I'm like, "Yeah," because I was wearing a keychain that said Saipan, so I thought he didn't know what Saipan was, and he was just reading off the lanyard. But then he's like, "Oh, I was actually stationed on Guam in the '90s, and I went to Saipan. And it's very nice there." So I struck up a conversation with him, and it's those kinds of things, that I try to, I guess, bring with me wherever I go, because it's the way we are here in the islands. I mean, you have to be cautious, I know, but at the same time, it's like, um, if I could like basically take the mentality from the islands and bring it to the States, it would just be, just to greet everyone with a positive attitude, because these days everything's so like heavily politicized, and it's the environment's like very intense, so it's good to bring some of that island spirit back to, or Island Spirit to the U.S. To show that in other parts of the world, like basically things are different, and just be chill. Basically, don't be so tense. That's just the way we are in the islands, like just be chill.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing I noticed over here as well. Is it's like some people they get too serious about the future and whatnot, and then
Yes.
sometimes it's like you gotta think simple. People get creative when they're level-headed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's something we learned over there in Saipan. Is that keep a cool head, keep a level
Yeah.
head. Whatever is going on over there, and yes, life's gonna push you in a direction that's new. Like I said, when I went from Saipan to New York, that was a totally surreal, new but also cool experience. Just having, like I said, I haven't traveled in years, and having to be able to do that to the Big Apple, something new entirely, right?
Yes.
But literally, like sometimes we just gotta think of things as being simple, and like Jason said, don't hold judgments, right? It's really easy to get sucked into that kind of life. It's so easy to get sucked into that kind of mindset. Also not cool. Try and get away from that. It's better to be open, be humble, respectful,
Open people.
all those things. And diversity, like I said before, anyone out there, whatever your view is, that ain't gonna stop. That's gonna keep going. And I think, like I said, what I love about our up and coming gens is that um that's something that's in the minds of people. Now we've seen people literally go on Facebook, Instagram. There's gonna be people of different color, different skins, different races, and all that stuff, right? It's out there, and we're less hypocritical than some people, right? And that's what I love. I love the diversity, and I love how it's gonna go on over here. And that's something I'm gonna carry to heart. From Saipan, like I said, Saipan was my first home. Carry on
Yeah.
that understanding over here to the big city.
Yep.
And even then, I just love when children, I love when people get curious, because even then, like I said, the one thing I noticed over here in New York is there's a lot of road rage. But get the person out
Even
of
in
the car.
California.
Exactly. Get the person out of the car and they're totally normal. Get them in the car, they hate it. Over here, it's like anti-car. They don't want to drive. And I kind of feel that, I kind of feel that not because I don't know how to drive, but it's also because traffic sucks. It really does. Parking meters. And even then, when you're working, you don't even know if your car is going to be there at the end of the day because of the parking.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Actually, yeah.
Imagine you bought this new Dodge Charger and all of a sudden it's being towed away and you don't even know where it is, right? That's gonna suck, honestly.
Yeah.
But seriously, there's so much you can grab from Saipan. I know that many people who are tuning into this either gonna be from there or gonna head over there possibly. But either way, you're gonna learn something from the island, and it's gonna be such a different culture, a lot of diversity, a lot of cuisines, a lot of destinations, and all that stuff. And I feel that's something you can carry over. And I know that this is not supposed to be like a mental health podcast for this episode at the moment, but like I said, diversity. Keeping an open mind, something is very important. And don't get sucked up too much into things, right? Because like I said, um, the more we don't want to know about something, it stems from how open minded we are, right? I learned that from Saipan, and I think my friend can vouch for that.
Yeah.
And I feel that's so important for everyone out there, because some people feel like they're stuck in a lifestyle that they think that they can't get out of, which sucks
Yeah.
because you can totally change your life, right? Even if you're working at a McDonald's or whatever, if you want to work at a Subway, go for it or whatever, right? It all starts with you, with a simple change and all that stuff. Sometimes you got to think simply, right? And not dwell on the things. Yeah, there's still some practical things in life. There's some finances, politics, work, and all that stuff, right? But cut the crap out and then focus first on yourself. If you're not well, why even do all those things, right? If you're not well, then why are you doing? And like I said, back on the island, even during the pandemic, we had a lot of time to think about where we are, where we're at, who the heck we want to be, right? Um,
Yes.
and I can tell you, I can vouch for you, no matter how long it takes, when we want to achieve something we want to do, love, and all those things. Like I said, keep an open mind, keep a diverse mind in check. And you see you go places. And if you don't
Yes.
believe me, take it from a guy who came from this place in the middle of the ocean. And here I am
Yes.
in this big
Yeah.
A city, right? So there's that. And like I said, you guys wanted to know about my home? There's that. You want to know what I learned? Here you go. And you guys know what you can learn from this experience? Go back 1 minute and hear what I had to say over there, right? But hey,
You know. Yeah. Sorry, if I may add too. And also too, like we're from Saipan, but if we're just one of many people who live here, and the experiences are diverse. So I encourage you to also look at different podcasts, YouTube channels, because there are a couple here, and they also do a great job of explaining how things are here. Because everyone's experience here is different, but that's the beauty of living in Saipan, because we're on an island in the middle of the ocean, Pacific, and that's at this point it's all we can do, is just let our imagination run wild, because I look at Tim, man, like a lot of people tend to think like people from the islands, like we're very close-minded, we have a conservative hierarchical culture, and to some extent that is true, but again, going back to the whole thing with diversity and how different cultures, left their impacts on us, it also impacted our mindset. So yes, we still maintain our cultural traditions, we still maintain respect for our elders, but we recognize that we are, part of the American nation, the American family, so to speak. So we also adopt values from them. That's why we we diversify ourselves, but we also keep in touch with our culture. Yeah.
That's right. Coming from a guy who's still over there, and like I said, who can represent clearly. Because
Yeah.
over here, like I said, over here I learned a lot of things over here from New York. And I'm gonna carry over what I've learned from the past, right? And I feel that that's most important. Hey guys, I just want to be real. If you guys hear some noises everywhere, the vents turned on in the studio. I don't know why they're so loud, but I think because it's like 30 degrees over here. So if you guys heard something in the background, just in case, because if I edit that, it's gonna be awful. Because there's this feature called gate, but the problem is it removes our voices. So that's the problem with trying to wean that out. That's why I try to keep the studio fresh. But it's also kind of cold in the studio at the moment. But either way, totally cool. Like I said, guys, diversity, open-mindedness. Keep that in check. Keep that in mind. What's up?
If you want to learn though, if you have more questions about Saipan, like, because I know it's like it may seem a bit daunting at first, the explanation, but trust me, like if you want, and if you can ask Tim, if you guys want, we can break it down, for you guys to make it more specific, and keep the questions coming, because I really love to share the beauty of our islands, with the people in the U.S. mainland, and don't be afraid to ask Tim, and maybe if even I don't know if you want to do this, Tim, but if some people want to actually come on the podcast and ask me directly, then I'm all open for that.
I feel that honestly, if you guys ask this person directly, ask my friend directly, he is gonna be your local guide. I'm not promoting, but I'm just saying this guy knows a lot. I'm telling you guys right now, he is going to be your beneficiado on how it is over there in Saipan. But hey, guys, I think that about wraps it up. I'm actually gonna play this last soundtrack. You know what I mean? On what I feel is this song that I feel carried over from Saipan. Something that I got. It was like when I was in elementary. I was on the bus and I heard this song, and I think it carried over. Right? So I'm actually gonna play this, like right now, just so you guys can hear a little bit. And that about wraps it up for this podcast. So thank you again, my friend, for again. Please, thank you so much because it's actually 11 o'clock over there in
It's all
Saipan, and I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I feel people gotta worship their sleep, worship it, because honestly, people need it. Yeah, but that's a story for another time, another life advice for another time, because we're not stopping. There's more to come. There's more people to bring on to the show, and I feel that um it's just fun that you're one of our first guests over here, apart from many more.
happy. Like I said, I'm happy to share knowledge of not just Saipan, but future topics to come. And I don't know if they do this, but like how YouTubers, they go like, here's like drop my IG link or whatever. But if you just want to ask me questions, you don't have to follow me or anything like that, bro. I'm just really happy to share what I have with the wider world.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm hoping to see you guys again, like on future topics, not just Saipan, but different things. Like Tim said, he's got big plans for this podcast, for this channel. I'm 100% ready to support him, and I'm always happy to come back again as a guest speaker or a person. I know it's a guest speaker.
I love that.
Podcast, So.
And honestly, guys, if you're probably thinking, where can I find Jason again? Where the heck am I gonna find him? There's like a million Jasons out there. If he has a link to drop, I'll probably put it in the description. If anything, if you guys want to hit him up.
Oh yeah, but
yeah.
Again, you don't have to follow me, man. Like it's just
even just
ask me questions.
Even just a question. Exactly. He will be your guide to that. Honestly, even now, just reminiscing about Saipan, just thinking about it, yeah, there was just a lot that happened over there. And
you're always welcome to visit, bro. It's always gonna be your home, man. You live in New York, but it's always your home here, bro.
Hey,
just hit us up so we can hang out.
Hey, but if you're gonna be a recurring guest, I call my sis Miss Audacity. And what would you like to be called, good sir?
I don't know, man. You just call me. I don't know, bro. Future episodes, bro. But my name is Jason. My last name is Sanchez, and this my last name. I'm not Hispanic, but that will be explained in later episodes.
Yeah, that'll be later on, because that's a whole different story. There's a lot of cultures there.
There's like historical and cultural factors involved with that, but that's for a later episode. But yeah, my name is Jason, and I'm not saying I'm 100% knowledgeable about Saipan, but if you just want to ask someone from here, someone's coming to me. So.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So he's gonna be here, and I for sure can't wait to hear more. From our future guests, and like I said, there's just a lot to talk about over here. Like I said, mental health podcasts. Never know what to expect, right? And we're gonna need that out there in the world. And like I said, if the reason why I got into this, the slogan that we have is the truth made heard. If just a little bit of the truth can get out to the right person, just think about what happens, right? Can even be a simple sentence, could even be one word, right? And that's how we go by over here, most of all. And like I said, you want to know about my home, here it is. And one thing you can take away from all of this, diversity, open-mindedness, keep a good heart, it'll see you through, and I feel that's real, right? And there's my friend nodding. All right.
Look at my man Tim, look where he's at, man. The spirit of the Marianas is with him. That's why he's so successful, So all thanks to him, he's the one that's making this happen, and we're 100% supporting him.
Yes, honestly, I got a lot of friends over want to do some things, and even if they're a little bit shy, they still PM me on some topics on what we're gonna discuss, and hopefully all things go well. And like I said, I'm gonna keep doing this for months, even years. Who knows, right? Got a lot of time, right? And like I said, got a lot of time. Got my degree, waiting on where. But then, all things considered, this is gonna be fun. It's gonna be really fun.
Yeah,
I love
it
that.
is good.
It's gonna be really cool, and I love having bring all these people because I do love talking with myself in the studio, but I do love when someone's over there, right? It's just that we're
Yep.
all so from different places, right? And we're also distant, right? Not distant in one way, like distant like apart physically, all those things. But
Or
mhm,
maintain the connection.
exactly. Also, I want to give my yeah.
Yeah, as we say in the Marianas, no, it's divided by tide, but united by pride.
Hey, I love that.
And
Nice. I love that.
that's not my fault. Don't quote me on that. It's the quotations of one of our local clothing brands, but that's something for for the people, the wire world to think about, because we may be separated physically, but we're united in different things, many different things.
Nice. And I also want to give my shout out to Facebook Messenger. Honestly, if because I know that there are people there who are modulating the calls, making sure that the internet connection is stable. So shout out to those guys over there, for helping me getting my friend over here to this call for this podcast, this episode. And shout out to them. They really did an awesome job maintaining the connection. And that was really good. Thank you again, Facebook. Thank you again, Messenger, for your assistance on this. And hey, that about wraps it up for this episode. So again, thank you so much to my friend Jason for having been featured over here, and taking the time and the energy to be with me for about almost an hour. I know it's a lot. uh, oh my gosh, yeah. So hey guys, that's it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please share, sub, much love, and I'll see you at the next episode. This is Mr. T, and this is Jason signing off. Peace.
All right. Hey.